Hi, I'm Novel Mike, and this is my opinion. So, I was not ready for this morning. Essentially, when I woke up, there has been an actual response from Blizzard about Nostalrius and Legacy Servers. And so I want to read that, and we can go over what some of it means. I do want to say up front that reading this a couple times over now, I don't think that this necessarily means anything yet or anything soon, but it is the most important thing I think that, regardless of any of what the document actually says or the post actually says, this is a complete 180 tonal shift from what they said before. They were always, no, no, never going to happen. We don't want to do it. We don't want anyone to mess with it. You're never going to have it happen. We're not going to do it. Just no. Not going to, just no. And so now what they're saying is they are looking into options, to some extent. And I don't want to undersell that, despite what anything else says. That is a huge win, because on a lot of things, like I said in my original video, if it makes sense to them financially, they may want to do it. And they're probably starting to say, okay, this makes financial sense. How can we make this happen? How can we make this happen without also diverting resources from Legion and moving the game forward? You know, we get that people want to play the old game, but without hiring a bunch of people, how are we going to actually be able to do something like this? And I'll talk about that more once we read it, but anyway, let's get into this. We wanted to let you know that we've been closely following the Nostralrius discussion. We appreciate your constructive thoughts and suggestions. Our silence on this subject definitely doesn't reflect our level of engagement and passion around this topic. We hear you. Many of us across Blizzard and the WoW dev team have been passionate players ever since Classic WoW. In fact, I personally work at Blizzard because of my love for Classic WoW. We have been discussing Classic servers for years. It's a topic every BlizzCon, and especially over the past few weeks. From active internal team discussions to after-hours meetings with leadership, the subject has been highly debated. Some of our current thoughts. Why not just let Nostralrius continue the way it was? The honest answer is failure to protect against intellectual property infringement would damage Blizzard's rights. This applies to anything that uses WoW IP, including unofficial servers. And while we've looked into the possibility, there's not a clear legal path to protect Blizzard's IP and grant an operating license to a private server. We've explored options for developing classic servers, and none could be executed without great difficulty. If we could push God man, I'm really messing this up. I'm sorry. If we could push a button and all this would be created, we would. However, there are tremendous operational challenges to integrating classic servers, not to mention the ongoing support of multiple live versions of every aspect of WoW. So what can we do to capture the nostalgia of when WoW first launched? Over the years, we have talked about a Pristine realm. In essence, that would turn off all leveling acceleration, including character transfers, heirloom gear, character boost, recruit a friend bonuses, WoW token, and access to cross-realm zones, as well as group finder. We aren't sure whether this version of a clean slate is something that would appeal to the community. It's still an open topic of discussion. One other note, we've recently been in contact with some of the folks who operate in Nostralrius. They obviously care deeply about the game, and we look forward to the conversations with them in the coming weeks. You, the Blizzard community, are the most dedicated, passionate players out there. We thank you for your constructive thoughts and suggestions. We are listening. J. Allen Brack. Okay, so first off with that, J. Allen Brack is the same guy who has the meme going around about you think you do, but you don't. So it's interesting that they made him write this, or at least he's the one who wrote this, or it's his name on it. I think that's probably done also because of the meme. But you gotta think people in Blizzard HQ are probably making fun of him for that becoming such a big meme now. It probably sucks a little bit to be him working at Blizzard at the moment. But, okay, let's get into this. So, first off, why not let Nostralrius continue the way it was? The honest answer is failure to protect against intellectual property infringement would damage Blizzard's rights. This is absolutely correct. That's something I didn't mention in my original video because I didn't really feel I needed to, because the subject isn't about the legality of it. Blizzard is well within their legal rights to shut down Nostralrius, and in fact they do have to, because if they damage their rights, then they can potentially be sued down the road. Okay, why did you take down this guy and not this guy? Because, you know, you went after us, but they were around operating for a lot longer and you could have. That kind of thing. And the reason they don't go after other servers, or certain servers at least, such as Kronos and some of these other ones, is because of where they're based. So they don't have a legal presence in whatever country they're operating out of. Nostralrius was operating out of France. They do have a legal presence there. They can absolutely go after them. So, and there's more legality things to it that besides that, that's just the simple explanation. So if they can go after some of these other ones, they absolutely will. They just may not be able to yet. The second part about them exploring options for developing classic servers and none could be executed without great difficulty. Yeah, I see that because what they would want to do is they would want to integrate it with the current battle.net, and the old clients were not support that at all currently, so they would have to completely rework that, and it probably would require a lot of time and effort to get that running, not to mention having the support staff in place for operating multiple versions of WoW. The more interesting part, there's two parts about this that are really, really interesting, and I'm not talking about Pristine servers, that I'll get to probably towards the end. And while we've looked into the possibility, there's not a clear legal path to protect Blizzard's IP and grant an operating license to a private server. So they can't give it to a private server, but there is they want to they want to be able to protect their rights, but they also want to make sure that in that their company is protected from any legality down the road if they did offer, say, a license for selling the servers. But you'd also have a contract in place where they would get to do this, they would essentially have to say, okay, you're not going to create anything new for the game, you're not going to add like crazy things like random bonus experience events and stuff like that. You have to keep it as originally was, and you have to manage it through Blizzard, and we will have our own separate subscription or part of the current subscription, something like that. So there is a lot of work that would have to be done if that was the case of something that could happen still. But the fact that they've actually looked into it is a huge sign that maybe they do want this to happen in some way. They're just probably not sure if they can really do it because of all the work that would have to be done and all the work that would have to be taken off of Legion possibly to do it, or if they want to get some kind of third party to do it for them. And that's where one of the last things they said is, one other note, we've recently been in contact with some of the folks who operate Nostralrius. The office care deeply about the game, and we look forward to more conversations with them in the coming weeks. That sounds to me, okay, if they were really going to sue them over this whole thing, which they may have originally wanted to do, and they may still do going forward, depending on how these talks go, they would not be having conversations with them. That would be a very poor idea. The fact that they are talking to these people makes me think that they are possibly thinking about having them, or at least setting the groundwork for a possibility of a third party operating some classic servers instead of them. And essentially they would do it outside of battle.net, and it would possibly be a separate site where you have to make an account, something that wouldn't possibly tie into your WoW account. Maybe you have to pay another $15 a month to do it, or even a smaller fee, maybe something like that. But it does sound like they're talking to them specifically. They wouldn't say they're just talking to them if they weren't trying to figure out something, because it wouldn't make legal sense to do that if they're still suing them. So my thought is that they're possibly talking to them about either them setting up some kind of third-party server, or that's not a private server, something that is Blizzard funded but operated by someone else. So that would get around the legality issue, and they would have to still make in place something else. But even if it fell through with Nostralrius, if they didn't want to do that, if they didn't want to be under Blizzard's thumb, the idea that they could do that is pretty interesting. And the immediate thing that they're talking about, though, is they're trying to, offer other ideas if something like that doesn't actually happen. And again, I'm not trying to say any of what I've just said is something that could happen or would happen. That is what I am thinking is a possibility of something that is being talked about, or that they may be thinking about doing based off what they've said in this post. I am taking this as what they're saying as fact, about what's actually going on, and that they aren't bullshitting us. It is possible that it is all PR bullshit. We can't really know that. The last thing that this talks about is Pristine Realms. And in essence, that would turn off all leveling acceleration, including character transfers, heirloom gear, character boosts, recruiter friend bonuses, WoW token, and access to cross-realm zones, as well as group finder. Okay, so a Pristine Realm essentially would be the game without most of the current game, like with Three Wards of Draenor, maybe Legion, if they were intending for something like this to launch with Legion, without any of the current modern convenience of the game. I don't think that's the right way to do it. Something like Crossrealm being out, that is a pretty big deal because there is nothing worse than trying to hunt for certain rares or mounts and you just see someone just teleport in next to where the rare spawns over and over again. Like, go to Miss Pandaria and try to find those dinosaurs that drop mounts, and like they are camped constantly. People are just teleporting back and forth between realms with different add-ons and stuff like that. It's ridiculous. I don't think Pristine Realms is the answer. The problem of a Pristine Realm for the people who played Nostralrius and who want legacy servers, it's not that they want the convenience of the current game gone, it's that they want the content that the original game had. The old leveling experiences, even with how janky it was at times. They want the old talent trees back because they like the idea of making hybrid specs and, different options with that and be able to customize your character more instead of these very basebone talent trees that just, okay, what option do I pick that works best right now? They want to be able to play the old raids when they were relevant and when they made sense. They want to be able to see the game as originally was and experience it for nostalgia. I mean, that is a big part of it. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing to want to actually experience the nostalgia of how it originally was. So I don't think Pristine Realms are the answer, but I do think there is an interesting idea behind this. Having servers that have different rule sets than the current game does. Like, imagine there was a realm where you could actually have Alliance and Horde group together and raid together. It didn't matter which faction you were on. For that, like, PvP would still be the same, but raiding could be, you could have a much bigger raid environment if it didn't matter which side of the fence you were on. Everybody could do that. Everybody could join guilds, no matter what faction you were on. Or even a server where the factions where there's no PvP at all because the factions work together. Like, storyline wise, it wouldn't make any sense, but for raiding and stuff like that, it would be an interesting idea. Or they have different servers that, have reduced experiences, which is something they kind of say that a Pristine Realm might have, but it sounds more like it's removing the stuff that's convenient now, like heirloom gear and character boost, stuff like that. And I think that there's a lot of opportunity for something like that. I don't know exactly what else they could do, but it's possible that they could add even, random things like, okay, there's no PvE on this realm. It's only PvP and everyone's against everyone. Or they can make like an actual, challenge, or not challenge was my thing, the Iron Man challenge. They could actually make a realm where you don't get any greens or blues, you only get grays or whites. That would be really interesting, I think, if they actually had something like a current server where you could only do that. You couldn't group up with people. It's only for doing that. It wouldn't be very popular, but the idea is there where you could actually have different servers doing different things. So I do think it means more than what they're saying. I think Upper Steam Realm is probably what they would possibly consider doing in the immediate future, but it may lead open to other things as well. So I do think this is a big deal. I think that the fact that they responded at all is huge. I didn't expect that at all. But the fact that they are thinking about certain things, even if it is, just them trying to smooth things over because they know that Legion needs to be big for them, and they don't want the topic straying away from Legion back to Classic anymore. If it could end up being something, then that's a big thing. I did find it interesting that with how much support the petition's gotten, I mean, it's over 230,000 signatures now, almost 250,000. That's ridiculous. That the guys behind it, Nostralrius, didn't actually say anything about it. And there's probably the reason, because they're talking to Blizzard about certain things and legality and all that. But I do think this is good news. I think a lot of people are having very brash reactions to this, where no, this isn't what we want. Blizzard saying no, it's not that. This speaks to me as that they're trying to be open about what they're thinking about, and that the whole idea is that they are open to suggestions. They are open to hearing what people want and that kind of thing. That is a major change from what it was before. Like I said in the beginning, everything before now was no, never going to happen, no. So it's a good idea that it's a good thing that they are doing something like this, because it means that in the future that we could see something like a legacy server happen, whether it's run by Blizzard, Nostralrius, gets an official license to do it as a third party, or otherwise. It is possible that we will see something like this happen. I don't want to put too much stock into this because, nothing could happen. It could be all PR bullshit. But I do think this is a positive response, not a negative one, even though a lot of people are taking this as a negative thing. But anyway, that's all I have to say on the matter for now. Hopefully we'll get more information as time goes on, possibly from Nostralius' end if they're ever actually able to talk about it. But anyway, I'm Novel Mike. That was my opinion. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye.